good evening. Welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Coming to you tonight, Parliament to summon Special Prosecutor to brief MPs on the arrest and detention of lawyer Martin Kpebu.
We shall be inviting him to come and brief the House the circumstances under which he will detain a citizen under such whimsical circumstances. It is untenable. And yesterday, his conduct was frowned upon by the entire nation.
Meanwhile, Martin Kpebu a while ago left the OSP's office after completing all bail conditions following his Wednesday night detention. Also in the bulletin tonight, President Mahama attributes the poor performance in the recent WASSCE to what he describes as years of neglect of basic education. Later on in the bulletin, we tell you why the government has issued a 45-day ultimatum for banks to comply with new Bullion and Cash-in-Transit Rules. We have details of this and more in the next hour. Stay with us. Before we get into the details, though, my colleague Noura Mohammed is here with the news summaries. Noura.
Hi, Grace. Good evening. First in the summaries, the Abuakwa North Municipal Assembly has initiated a series of new social infrastructural projects across selected communities. Now, these projects, when completed, are expected to ensure more communities become equitable and resilient. The new projects by the Assembly include new community-based health planning services, CHPS centers, primary basic school units, and boreholes. Also, the leadership of Ghana's Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, has held a day's comprehensive engagement with journalists, police, GPRTU, and other stakeholders on plans to roll out the new vehicle registration number plate. The capacity building engagement took place in WA on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025, and forms part of an effort to educate key stakeholders on the features, legal basis, procedures, and justification upon which the new number plate policy is set to start in January 2026. Now, also, the chairman of the Parliament's Health Committee, Dr. Mark Kurt Nawani, has criticized the medical drone delivery contract entered into with Zipline by the previous Akufo-Addo government. Dr. Nawani described the Operation Zipline in Ghana as a mistake, insisting that Ghana did not need transportation of blood, donated, and other medical supplies, the basis for which this contract was entered. Now, the investigative journalist Manasseh Azure-Awoni says that the creation of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, was a good decision by former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Manasseh described the OSP as a legacy that former President Akufo-Addo gave to Ghanaians as part of the fight against corruption. He stated that the issues of the OSP have nothing to do with the office and rather its officers. And that'll be all for the summaries. Over to you, Grace.
Thank you very much, Noura. My colleague Noura Mohammed bringing us the news summaries here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's get into the bulletin and begin with that story that has caught the attention of everybody in this country and even beyond. And tonight, Special Prosecutor Kisia Jabeng is to be invited to Parliament as Majority Chief Whip Roxy Nelson, the Fiamapo, accuses the office of gross abuse of power. It follows the OSP's arrest of prominent lawyer and media commentator Martin Kpebu, who the office accuses of obstructing an officer of the OSP. Speaking on the floor of Parliament, Roxy Nelson, the Fiamapo, insisted that the special prosecutor must come and explain to the House why he is weaponizing the powers of his office against citizens.
One of our seasoned lawyers, the lawyer Martin Kpebu, was invited by Office of the Special Prosecutor. He presented himself willingly, and somehow he got detained. Until about after 10 p.m., he was still in detention, and he was supposed to have been granted bail, given onerous bail terms. He should produce property, landed property and all that. Mr. Speaker, we cannot do this at this time. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has abused his powers in this matter. And I will not hesitate to say that this House We created the office. And the office of the Special Prosecutor, if he continues to abuse his powers, then we may have to abrogate it. Let me place this matter on record, that this House, we shall be inviting him to come and brief the House the circumstances under which he will detain a citizen under such whimsical circumstances. It is untenable. And yesterday, his conduct was frowned upon by the entire nation.
Majority Chief Whip Nelson Nafiat-Mekpode reacting to the position of the Chief Whip, the NPP MP for WASSCE Irebi, Kojo Nkrumah, criticized what is described as the hypocrisy of the majority, who are only up in arms because the abuse of state power has been used against someone they like. That's according to him. He wants the anger to extend to other investigative bodies engaged in similar conduct.
It is not about the office of the Special Prosecutor. It is about a culture that has crept into the investigative and law enforcement bodies in this country, where they invite you, and to quote the words of the Chief Whip, you appear on your own volition to assist them in investigations. Then they arrest and detain and put onerous bail conditions on you. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, like we say in Twi, etua onyonku mua, etua biam, etua uhumudia, etua nipem. To wait, Mr. Speaker, when it happens to somebody and he's complaining about it, you see absolutely nothing wrong with it. When it happens to you, now you complain. So, Mr. Speaker, if he wants to invite the Special Prosecutor to come and answer why his friend, and today he's complaining because it is his friend, the minority leader, Osahin, has been raising this matter over and over again, that the investigative bodies are weaponizing their powers, are imposing onerous bail conditions. In fact, Mr. Speaker, in instances where you don't even expect them to detain, because you've invited a man, he has appeared, he's provided information, you know where to find him. There's no basis to detain him. We on this side, if indeed they extend that invitation, I'm not sure we will object. We won't object to it. But perhaps our advice will be that all the other investigative bodies that are being weaponized, which have been complained about, which they turn a blind eye and a blind ear to, maybe, Chief Whip, you should add it so that we can do a non-partisan, diligent job in the interest of the public. Because precedents are being set, which will not be good for our democracy going forward.
That was former Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah and MP for WASSCE Irebi. Let's take you to the office of the Special Prosecutor, because we know earlier today lawyer Martin Kpebu reported himself to assist with enquiries following his arrest on Wednesday. You would recall the OSP detained Martin Kpebu for alleged obstruction of an officer and was later granted bail. As part of the bail conditions, he is required to show a landed property in his name with one surety. Lawyer Martin Kpebu is joining us on the phone now. Counsel, we are grateful you could join us. We know it's been a lot of activities and engagement for you today. Talk to us about your engagement with the OSP today and whether new issues were raised.
So basically, not new issues, but the process was quite laborious. I went in there around 11, but one of the things that kept us waiting a bit was that they wanted to take a mark shot of me. A mark shot.
A mark shot.
Can you imagine? Mark shot. They would snap me as if I've committed the most heinous crime on this earth. When a soldier has abused me, then I insulted him back. You say you want to take a mark shot. It's an abuse. And you see, so eventually they had to take me to my house to check my residence. Then from there we went to the property over which I provided the title deed, the indenture. They went to inspect it, they would verify, etc. So and then they went to inspect my surety's house. So that's what they did, and it took a lot of time because they would take mark shot. Can you imagine?
Counsel, isn't this the normal procedure or process it takes?
No, it's not normal. It's not normal at all. You see, some of the people they're taking mark shots of, they are even in court over it. And me, it's an exchange of words. So I was even abused by the soldier. He's the one who started it. I was just trying to protect myself by talking back. He has abused me, and yet you turn it around and you even say you want a mark shot. I mean, come on, such an abuse. Imagine, these guys, when did they set up OSP that is now becoming so authoritarian?
So does that mean you still maintain that your arrest was unlawful? And what is your response to the OSP's claim that you rather obstructed 8 officers from carrying out their legally mandated duty?
Well, I didn't. That's why I said I don't see the obstruction. I was walking. The people who called me, the 2 soldiers, they were behind me. What work were they doing that I obstructed them? So far, have they told you what were they doing that I obstructed? They were behind me. I was walking. Then you call out you. I turned. Then the first soldier says, next time you come and park here and go outside to do media interviews, I will not allow you. Then I said, no. It's not correct. You can't stop me. Then I continue walking. Then the next soldier says, as for me, then so the voice, there's the tone and everything, I had to turn again. If you do this again here next time, I will show you, pan. That's why I said, what? The tone and everything was threatening. I said, you can't do that to me. Then the next man, he said, I'm a stupid man. A soldier goes to just disrespect a citizen like that, and you think it's free. And then now, I'm not talking about you. I'm just looking at everything in context as a society. Then the next time, within another 1 hour and 1 hour, 20 minutes, then the special prosecutor says, they are arresting me. Oh, come on. It's abuse. Abuse of the listen.
Counsel, so after today's meeting, it means that you've been able to meet all the bail conditions and so you've been granted bail. Do you feel the matter has been resolved, or do you anticipate any further action from the OSP?
Do I think the last part?
Do you feel the matter has been resolved? You've been able to meet the bail conditions and you've been granted bail. Do you anticipate any further action from the OSP?
Well, it's for them to decide whether they want to take the case forward. I've met the bail conditions now, and so I just got back to the office. I granted some interviews there when I left the OSP about 1 hour ago. And so now, well, if they wanted to go to court, fine. But if it doesn't, I will advise myself to. This cannot be allowed to continue. Kisei Jabin cannot continue to weaponize the OSP for his personal agenda. What the problem is that he allowed Ufuriata to travel, and I even call it collusion. You sit and allow Ufuriata to travel out, and yet when we are trying to take you on, you think you can use communist inferior tactics to arrest everybody. I'm not even the first person these soldiers have misbehaved towards. They did that to a senior police officer some months ago. You can interview Samidaku. He knows about it. They did that to a senior police officer. Can you imagine? Why do you bring soldiers there in the first place? What are soldiers doing in the OSP? Taking over police duties. They don't look like people who are there to protect the building because it's an under attack. Look, you find the soldiers walking there. They have no weapon. Their weapons are hidden somewhere. Are these people who look like they are there to protect the building? They are there to perform just police functions. So it's sometimes when an issue arises before they go and take the weapon. So you can just see that Kisei Jabin was just breaching the Constitution, Article 210, by usurping police powers, bringing soldiers to come and take over. I don't know whether it is to intimidate the general public or what. Today when we went, the soldiers had been withdrawn, and you find all 4 policemen there. The police are doing the work. As today, have we heard that OSP couldn't function because soldiers have been withdrawn? I understand the president had told the CDS that this is allowing soldiers to come to this civilian outfits, electoral commission, etc., to guard places. They should stop it. Yes, that's what I understand. That no, the president has said that the soldiers should not be used the way they are being abused. When you do that, you create confusion because their training is different. Yesterday, you see, at first, the police first engaged us, we say J, and these soldiers were not even wearing name tags. Can you imagine? So if they had hurt me, it was going to be very difficult to find them. They were not wearing name tags, such an illegality. Today, when I went there, they vanished. But it's giving the military a bad name. You think for the rest of my life, I'll be happy that a soldier called me a stupid man. What have I done to deserve such a thing? He that soldier, why? Is he the one who gave birth to me? Is he the one who took me to school? Does he know what a stupid man looks like?
Counsel, you have told us that you don't know if the OSP wants to go ahead with the case, but for you, you are going to advise yourself. Does that mean that you are considering any legal steps such as a complaint, a petition, or a lawsuit following your arrest and detention?
When I'm well rested, you hear from me on that. But right now, I think immediately I want to thank Ghanaians for all the support. Yesterday, TV3, I understand you were doing live streaming from about 7 p.m. onwards.
So 11, yes.
Yeah, till 11 p.m. I'm very, very grateful to the management and staff of TV3 for standing up for our human rights, our civil liberties, because that's what Kisi Ejabi was trying to do. He was running down our democracy. It just shows you how this guy is unfit for that office. How does a soldier insult a citizen and you now weaponize that, go and bring a house as collateral? Hey, then I don't know what bail condition he will ask when a person is engaged in corruption, etc. Yet he sat down. His friend, Ofuriata, his client, Ofuriata, left Ghana. You see the corruption Kisi Ejabi is involved in. He sat down and allowed Ofuriata to run away. Yet Martin Kpebu, who has been abused by a soldier, says go and bring landed property. I've given it to him. Let's see what next steps he will take. And of course, I want to single out lawyer Tadiosore, lawyer Agbeshi Jakwasu, Professor Michael Kwe, a lawyer and a political scientist and former Speaker of Parliament, and many others. Understand they did the yeoman's job. We are very, 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 very grateful for them, to them for the work done. That's how democracy will grow.
Right, Counsel, I was going to ask you what message you have for Ghanaians who are following this issue and how it is revolving over the time, and what should be the areas of conversation in order to, for it to be at the end of the day in the interest of the Ghanaian and also for the integrity of our constitution and legalities in the country.
Yeah, so the next conversation we should be looking at is that we will have to hold a demonstration. Yeah, we'll have to hold a demonstration on this Kisi Ejabi one. Yeah, we see last week Apostle Abraham Lincoln Labi did a one-man demonstration. I went there to lend him support. Some of my friends on Facebook and other personal friends came and supported. They made it look, good too. We are grateful to Apostle Abraham Lincoln Labi for taking that initiative. It is now time for me to also organize one. I'll be seeking help, and then we would organize. So I'll come back to you, 3FM, to help broadcast it. We'll do another demonstration. And then also, what they should be looking for is that I'm receiving more information on Kisi Ejabi to beef up my petition to the president. As I mentioned, I have 15 allegations against him so far. So people who have information, they are welcome to bring me more information, and then we would add before we present. That petition for his removal will be the petition of all petitions, the mother petition, the mega one. It's no joke at all. At least out of the 15 so far, 2 or 3 will stick minimum. So as for Kisi occupying that office, no, it's too late. He has to go. He has to go. He doesn't believe in the reset agenda. If Kisi believed in the reset agenda, he will not allow Ofuriata, who had 5 cases on his head, to flee. If Kisi believed in the reset agenda, he wouldn't have delayed the SML file for 2 months when Attorney General Dr. Dominic Ayine was looking for the file to help in the extradition process. If Kisi Ejabi believed in the this reset agenda, he generally wouldn't have suppressed cases. Even the SML case, you see, he never did the investigation the whole of 2024. So just this year, after Ofuriata left, that's when he did it. And Manasseh outed him. And you see, so you just have a special prosecutor who is giving to so much dishonest statement, false statement. Just
Counsel, but the OSP says that when they invite you to come in, you've not been cooperative since the invitation started. You come in, you are not cooperative. They ask you questions. You want to say what you want to say. You are not moving together with them to cooperate on the issue. How do you respond to these allegations by the OSP? There was even a press release today from the OSP saying that you've not been cooperative, and all that you've been saying about them, you are just not cooperating with them in working.
Oh, that's it's in their minds. They wish. What cooperation haven't I given? See, you can't even answer the main problem. The problem is that they've been giving me subordinates of Kisi Jabin. My sister, what's your name again?
Grace.
Grace, can you investigate, let's say, Mr. Nuyama of TV3, the chief operating officer? Grace, if they give you, somebody comes to make an allegation against him, you're a subordinate. You can't. Even if, let's say, God forbid, you can investigate and do an impartial job. If you succeed in doing it, somebody say, hey, Grace has an axe to grind with Mr. Nuyama. That's how come Grace could do this. In the same way, too, if you exonerate him, somebody say, but Grace wants to get promotion. That's why she did that and exonerated Mr. Nuyama. This is an open and shut case. Grace should have found Mr. Nuyama liable, etc. So in order to, promote confidence, etc., you don't give it to subordinates. The people we appeared before are subordinates. Elsewhere, I've seen Sammy Daku use the word junior. I didn't say they are junior officers. I said subordinates to Kisi Ejabin. So let's say Mr. Nuyama is chief operating officer. So Mr. Nuyama is junior to the MD of Media General. He's junior to the MD. It doesn't matter that Grace is your boss. But Mr. Nuyama too has another boss. So it means that he's junior to his boss.
There are levels to all of it.
Word junior. Yeah, I never use the word genius. So Sami Daku is setting his own questions and answering. I never said we appear before junior officers. I said subordinates. They are directors. Abraham Ablo Mensa, yes, he's chief of staff of the OSP. But he's not the chief executive. He's not the special prosecutor, etc. So Sami Daku should give me a break.
Okay, Counsel, talking about a break, I think it's also time for us to give you that break that you need so that you can rest. You've told us that when you're rested, we'll hear from you on your next move. We'll definitely come back to you and take what is up next, the sleeves of lawyer Martin Kpebu. Thank you for talking to us, Counsel.
You're welcome, Grace.
Right. Lawyer Martin Kpebu is a private legal practitioner. He's been to the office of the OSP today to meet the bail conditions. He's been granted bail, and he says when he's well rested, we'll hear from him on his next move. We'll bring you all that juice when the next move begins. But let's go to Parliament and connect with our man in the House, Christian Yali. Christian, if you can hear me, talk to us about what the House has been discussing in relation to the arrest of Martin Kpebu as well as his bail.
All right, Grace. So the Speaker wasn't around from the beginning of sitting. In fact, after some hours, he assumed his seat. Just before that, the Majority Chief Whip, Rustin Nelson Dasamepo, had raised that issue and called for the OSP or the Special Prosecutor himself to be invited to the House to answer questions on this arrest and the detention of Martin Kpebu, and made the case that, if possible, this House should abolish that office, which was something that was supported by Kojo Oponkroma of Fanta UBMP from the minority side. But just when the Speaker himself also assumed his seat, he made some comment on this issue and made a case that there was no constitutional basis for the establishment of the office of the Special Prosecutor in the first place. However, he sees it as something that the nation had wanted to do at the time to pretend to be fighting corruption. But now the result indicates that it was just a duplicate of an office that was already in existence, and reference made to the Attorney General's office as well. For duplicating such role, already there is the Economic and Organized Crime Office in Yoko and other investigative agencies that are already in existence. And so he is also of the view, as the Speaker of the Parliament, that that office must be abolished. In fact, that yielded into a full-fledged debate with other members of Parliament, including the Majority Leader, Mahama, equally making the same case that when you look at the arrest and detention of Martin Kpebu from yesterday and all the conversations that have erupted thereafter, I think it raises serious concerns about the very existence of that office and the fact that it has not yielded the intended result, because in his own words, Ghana has experienced it and has seen that it is not worth it. And so even if it requires a private member's bill to abolish that office, that should be done. In fact, the conversation has ensued for nearly an hour on that on this particular topic. Grace.
Christian, you also tell us the House has the intention of inviting the OSP to the Special Prosecutor to brief them about Martin Kpebu's arrest and detention, the bail conditions and all the other activities the OSP has been undertaking since the beginning of the year. Do you know when this is going to be done? What are the expectations of the House?
In fact, Grace, that should have ordinarily been captured in the business statement for next week. It isn't. That the understanding from the majority side and even from the minority side who agree is that it is an issue of urgent importance. If it is something that is urgent, as it were, it means that the House places a premium priority on it, which means that by large, plus or minus, next week, anywhere within next week, we should see the Special Prosecutor hauled before the House to come to provide that kind of briefing. In fact, when you look at the polls of social media or netizens, some even think that it is not even necessary, but the required thing to do would be to facilitate the removal process, which is what, when you look at social media, has been some of the commentary since we put that information out there that the House has decided to summon the Special Prosecutor to come to provide some update on that. So we should expect that done within next week because they want to consider it or take it under a certificate of urgency.
Right, Christian, thank you for bringing us those updates. My colleague Christian Yali updating us on the happenings in the House of Parliament and their intention to invite the Special Prosecutor to brief them on its activities, especially the arrest and detention of lawyer Martin Kpebu. Let's just stay in Parliament and listen to the immediate past Speaker of Parliament, Professor Mike Okwe. He spoke to us last night when Martin Kpebu was arrested. We can listen to him now.
Most unfortunate, and even more so, because we need a certain amount of stability, peace, decorum in this republic to go about our developmental matters. Very, very, very important. In the first place, the Special Prosecutor did not even have any business involving inviting Mr. Kpebu there. If Mr. Kpebu says you are corrupt, you can sue him, or can you refer him to another agency if you think there's a crime to look into that, because your business is to investigate corruption. Is Mr. Kpebu being charged with corruption? He's definitely not being charged with corruption. Therefore, we mustn't just mix things up. Because I want peace in this country. One professor of political science, Martin Kpebu, wrote something very typical of the whole of Africa. He says, we are a Praetorian society, confusing everywhere. People are abusing power everywhere. We don't strengthen our institutions, we just proliferate institutions. Instead of making the Attorney General's Department very strong to prosecute, we create something else. Those who lived at the time of this well-known DPP, J.K. Dako, will know how strong the Attorney General's Department has been before. And I believe that this is because we are not creating strong institutions. We keep on just proliferating and adding upon. Then we get confused in the process. I think what is happening now is very unfortunate. And all well-meaning Ghanaians must really condemn it. You know, bail being used to show people where power lies is not a yesterday matter. We have known it since legal practice decades ago. Bail being manipulated in this regard. There is no principle of law anywhere in any civilized country whereby the bail that must be justified must have a landed property in the name of the person who is a suspect. Because does that mean that people who don't have landed property therefore can never get bail? What is this? Because these are matters of principle, issues of law, issues of human rights. Now, because they can't really get the man on what they wanted, they say that, oh, why did you give an interview? You want to suppress his freedom of speech? You cannot question his granting an interview. Let us know this in this republic. You cannot question any Ghanaians giving an interview.
Former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Mike Okoye, also commenting on the arrest and detention of lawyer Martin Kpebu by the Special Prosecutor. So this week, another issue that caught the attention of parents, teachers, students, and all education stakeholders was the performance in the 2025 WASSCE, and this time the president has attributed the poor performance in the recent WASSCE to what he describes as years of neglect of basic education. This comes after the West African Examinations Council reported a significant decline in student outcomes, with thousands of candidates failing to obtain the minimum passes required for tertiary education. Speaking at the national launch of STEM books for basic schools, the president said the Ministry of Education and the Ghana Education Service will study the examiners' reports and implement urgent reforms. He emphasized that strict invigilation is here to stay, adding that the era of exam malpractice influencing results is over. He also urged parents and schools to ensure that students prepare adequately ahead of examinations. We'll be speaking shortly with an educationist to analyze the president's remarks and explore what reforms are needed. But let's listen to the president first.
Recently, the West African Exams Council has released the results for the last West African School Certificate Examination. And as the Honorable Minister said, it has become an issue of great concern to governments, parents, and the public at large. I was speaking with the minister, and I've asked them to do an analysis of the examiner's report to try and decipher what could have gone so disastrously wrong. It is mind-boggling that with the same teachers, the same factors in play, just from one batch to another, one batch, does so disastrously. And so we need to get to the bottom of it. But it also emphasizes the issue of foundational learning. One of the major things that has taken place in the last several years is the neglect of basic education. Inability to send the capitation grants, ensuring that we have quality teachers at the foundational level, at the basic level, because it is that level that prepares the child for secondary and tertiary education. And once you don't get that level right, you will just send the child through a conveyor belt like a factory. And when it comes out at the end, it will be picked out by quality control and said that this one did not do well. And so our focus must be on foundational learning.
President Mahama there. Let's bring in Dr. Peter Pate-Anti. He is Executive Director for the Institute for Education Studies. Doc, we are glad you could join us on the bulletin tonight. The President links the poor WASSCE performance to years of neglect at the basic education level. From your perspective, how accurate is this assessment, and what specific gaps at the basic level are now reflecting in secondary school outcomes?
Well, I think I understand the president to be saying that we should not be in a rush to assign, blames to any party because he himself doesn't understand the reason why from one group to another with the same teachers and other things, we are getting the results that we got. And I think that is a very good position that the president is taking. His inclusion of foundational learning is key because, when you talk about, you look at the performance in mathematics and then English, what we normally call literacy and numeracy at the basic level. That is where you build the student's capacity. Everything that the child is doing when he progresses to the junior high school and the senior high school level, all based on what the child is taught at the foundation level. So if the child is able to grasp his language or literacy and is able to do, understand the basis of numeracy, the child has a solid foundation upon which his future education is built on. And I think that is the reason why the president is saying that we have, over the years, neglected that area of higher education. And because of that, students that have gone through the system have not been able to be well grounded in the numeracy and the literacy, and that will definitely show at the end of the child's life as he or she progresses to the tertiary level.
Doc, the government says it will study the examiners' reports and introduce urgent reforms. In practical terms, what immediate intervention should the Ministry of Education prioritize to improve teaching and learning before the next exam cycle?
Again, I think this is a very sensible position to take, and I think that is what I've been saying since we started this discussion. On the WASSCE results, we should not be in a hurry to ascribe or assume that the students didn't perform well because of A, B, and C. We need to wait for the examiner's report. That is what they need to study. Now, based on that, they would have to now go to individual school levels. Do an individual assessment of various schools and how they performed. Okay, and then they can now design interventions for specific schools that might be put together. So if we can say that all schools that scored below 20% will be put together, and a specific kind of intervention depending on what the schools, what the findings will give us, would be designed. Is it the issue of instructional quality or resources or supervision, monitoring? All these interventions can be designed, but it should not be applied wholesale. We should look at it from the various diagnoses that we'll get from the individual schools, and then we can now design these interventions. So I'm glad that the ministry is saying something different from what the GES said. The GES was trying to say that is the real performance of the students and that there was stringent supervision and blah, 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 blah. But the ministry is saying that, look, we need to study the chief examiner's report, and then we can design interventions to assist the schools as they go into next year's WASSCE.
So, Doc, the president also insists that strict invigilation is here to stay. In the course of the week, you hear commentators or analysts saying that this time invigilation was straight. That's how you didn't even hear issues of any examination or practice. The students did individual work, and so that is why the results came out like that. Do you think stricter supervision alone can improve performance, or does it expose the
I won't even let you land. It's not a variable that we should be so much happy with. You see, so the simple thing I ask is, so what happens if next year the students do very well? Are we going to say that now because they are doing well because we are not strict in invigilating? So we shouldn't even entertain some of these thoughts. We should go by the initial statements that the president made, what the ministry is saying. They should study the chief examiner's report. Apart from that, they should go a step further and do school-by-school diagnosis. Then after that, we will be able to know what really happened at the micro level and then design interventions. I've also indicated that PTAs can be roped in, that as early as possible, PTAs should engage school authorities and other relevant stakeholders at the school level for a conversation to be had on the performance of the school for this year's WASSCE. And then collectively, they can come out with specific innovations and interventions to help the individual school. All these things that we are discussing, at the end of the day, it is the individual student that is affected.
Yes.
So the politicians and other people can say whatever it is that they want. But if you are not able to really diagnose this well and ensure that your intervention touches the individual student, we will still have the challenge happening next year. And I don't think that we want to experience this. And that is why I think that the president's directive is very important. The ministry's admonition is very, very important. They should follow through. We should encourage them to do that. They should let us know the interventions that they are putting in place so that we can also monitor. And at the end of the day, be able to assess whether those interventions worked when they are finished writing WASSCE 2026.
Doc, thank you for talking to us. Dr. Peter Pate-Anti is Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's do some other stories now. The Minister for Interior, Muntaka Mubarak, has issued a directive to banks and entities operating in the cash-in-transit or bullion business to cease operations henceforth and proceed to register and acquire the needed licenses and certification from the Ministry of the Interior before operations. Government today announced the development of a comprehensive guidelines and standards for cash-in-transit operations across the country. Consequently, a 45-day notice has been issued for all financial institutions to comply with these guidelines. Failure after the grace period will attract administrative sanctions, with some license even revoked. Also, the Interior Minister has tasked the Inspector General of Police to set up a special task force, which sole mandate will be to ensure compliance at all levels. Let's listen to the Minister, who announced the new measures at a media briefing today.
I came to meet the situation and I thought that that's not purpose, and that's what we're trying to do. We just don't get one license and you can do everything. No, we need to know exactly what and what are you doing. You want to add additional thing, let us know. I mean, you're already in the business. It makes it easier, background check, and it will not be too difficult. And we need to know fully all the things that you're doing. So that's what we mean by the registration. Yes.
Alhaji Idi Smaila is president of the Association of Bullion Van Operators. Alhaji is on the line. Alhaji, good evening to you.
Good evening, madam.
Right.
And, a very good evening to all your listeners out there.
Alhaji, have your members complied with this directive to use bullion vans for transiting cash?
Yes. Let me first of all, beginning by thanking you for this opportunity. You know, this conversation started since 2020. And we have always pushed for a clear-cut regulatory framework to guide our operations. That notwithstanding, we haven't given up until the minister took over and then helped in getting us this framework. So we are excited about it. And all our members have actually complied. As far as I know, no member is using the soft-skin vehicles at the moment.
Alhaji, can you tell us the number of bullion vans that have been procured by your members or the bank since the first directive?
Currently, I don't have the data, but what I know is that almost all our members have complied. So you also notice that on our streets, you don't see the movement of non-armored vehicles during the business of cash movement.
And what will be your reaction to the call by the minister for members to adhere to the new directive?
In fact, first of all, let me commend the minister for a good work done.
Right.
For giving us this regulatory framework. You know, he also seeks to ensure transparency, accountability, and public safety. And that's all we've been fighting for since this conversation started. Because you all are witnesses to what happened a few years ago, where criminals targeted our vehicles and people unfortunately lost their lives, including policemen. Since then, we have actually come together to start pushing for this framework, where members should be compelled to use armored vehicles for the sole purpose of protecting lives and property. And so I'm commending the minister for this work done. You would also notice that the speed with which the minister has actually taken this matter shows his level of seriousness. And on that note, I actually wish to commend him for this. Like I said, we started this conversation since 2020. And for 4 good years, almost 5, we haven't made any progress. And on this assumption, he took this matter to one of his issues of critical interest. And thank God we have 6 months or 7 months down the line, we've achieved it. So we can't say anything but to comment it.
Alhaji, so the lack of this regulatory framework, how was it affecting the work that you do? And now that we seem to have a clear roadmap, what change will it bring to the face of your work?
Nothing can be compared to the loss of life. So if you ask me how has it affected our work, people lost their lives. and one life lost is more than enough. So I think that it really affected us. The fear also for the lives of drivers and cashiers when moving cash is also another factor. On most occasions, it also leads to accidents because the driver doesn't have the full concentration he needs to execute his assigned task. And so that one was also another factor. And we also realized that our vehicles became easy targets for criminals. Let me add that this country has come of age where we should all come together to accept things as they are, not to allow criminals and hoodlums to take over the governance of our country and also businesses as such. So I think that we must all come together to commend the minister and also to work together as a country in making sure that all certain posts are sealed for the betterment of the greater good of our people.
Let me have you talk to your members who are listening to us, talk to them about the need to adhere to this regulatory framework.
I think that, like I said in my opening remarks, all our members have complied. All I need to say is for them to actually reinforce the minister's window that he has given us of the 45 days. Let us all go back to the drawing board, put our documents together and apply for the necessary certificates that we need to do our work. That is the first thing. You shouldn't sit down for the 45 days to lapse for you to come out complaining. Let's all come together and apply in compliance with the minister's directive. After all, at the end of the day, it endures the advantage of the industry. And then those who don't have the full complement of their vehicles, talk to your bankers. I know these vehicles are very expensive. Talk to your bankers and see how they can support you to acquire new vehicles to support your fleet. And also, I would urge the bankers also to cooperate with us and understand that we are all in this business together. We must all work for the betterment of the general good of the industry.
Alhaji, thank you for talking to us. Indeed, we all want the betterment or general good of the industry. Alhaji Idris Sumaila is president of the Association of Bullion Operators here in Ghana. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Time now for a breather. We are back shortly.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year and Bill's
3FM. 92.7 3FM. 92.7 3FM.
Family Fun Day, powered by Cerelac and brought to you by 3FM. This December, give your kids what they really want. Your time, your full attention. Cerelac in partnership with 3FM presents Family Fun Day. #FamiLac 2025. A full-day adventure packed with games, family competitions, live performances. Happening Friday, 5th December at Good Park from 9 a.m. To register your family for free, dial *928*12*11#. For vendor bookings or inquiries, call or WhatsApp us on 053-11-00927 or 053-220-0927. Family Fun Day, powered by Cerelac and brought to you by 3FM. This December, give your kids what they really want. Your time, your full attention. Cerelac in partnership with 3FM presents Family Fun Day. #FamiLac 2025. A full-day adventure packed with games, family competitions, live performances. Happening Friday, 5th December at Good Park from 9 a.m. This December, give your kids what they really want.
The year's been long. Deadlines, hustle, pressure. Now it's time to breathe, to dance, to feel again. The music hits waves crash, energy rises. You're surrounded by good people and golden light. This is your reset, your freedom, your joy. 3FM All White Party, the beach edition, where paradise meets the party. Labadi Beach Hotel, 28 December. Lock it up. It has been long. Deadlines, hustle, pressure. Now it's time to breathe, to dance, to feel again. The music hits, waves crash, energy rises. You're surrounded by good people and golden light. This is your reset, your freedom, your joy. 3FM All White Party, the beach edition, where paradise meets the party. Labadi Beach Hotel, 28 December. Lock it up. It has been long. Deadlines, hustle, pressure. Now it's time to breathe, to dance, to feel again. The music hits, waves crash, energy rises. You're surrounded by
your time, your full attention. Cerelac in partnership with 3FM presents Family Fun Day. #Familac 2025. A full day adventure packed with games, family competitions, live performances happening Friday. This December, give your kids what they really want. Your time, your full attention. Cerelac in partnership with 3FM presents Family Fun Day. #Familac 2025. A full day adventure packed with games, family competitions, live performances happening Friday, 5th December at Good Park from 9 a.m. To register your family for free, dial *928*12*11#. For vendor bookings or inquiries, call or WhatsApp us on 053-11-00927 or 053-220-0927. Family Fun Day.
92.7 3FM. 92.7 3FM.
Welcome back. You're still live on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We know tomorrow is Farmers' Day, and ahead of that, the Agric Minister has been speaking. The Minister for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, has reiterated government's resolve to support Ghanaian farmers to produce adequate food commodities for the consumption of the Ghanaian people. Opoku, while speaking at the National Farmers Forum organized by the Agric Development Bank in Ho ahead of Friday's National Farmers' Day celebration, said government is crafting strategic policies and measures to ensure food sufficiency and sustainable growth in the agri sector, but farmers are the center of things.
The attainment of food security is a shared responsibility, and it begins with the farmer, who has the responsibility to produce the food. So we are saying that the farmers will be supported, will create that conducive, enlivening and serene atmosphere for the farmers to produce in sufficient quantities. And that is the responsibility of the farmers. Then we want the Ghanaian people to also understand that without their support, we can never be successful. So whilst our farmers are producing, the Ghanaian people must also understand that they will buy the food that is produced here. On assumption of office, we realize that we have some critical challenges to deal with. Because
the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, the time now for us to do some sports, and Bill Leshan is here in the studio.
92.7 3FM. 92.7 3FM. 92.7 3FM. 92.7 3FM. 92.7 3FM. 92.7 3FM. 92.7
good evening and
FM.
welcome to yet another segment of the sport here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen. Starting off from the Premier League, because Mikel Arteta's Arsenal managed to extend their lead at the top of the table to 5 points after defeating Brentford by 2-0. The goals came from Mikel Merino and Bukayo Saka to give Arsenal some breathing space as the December fixtures pile up. Their next fixture will be against Aston Villa over the weekend, and Mikel Arteta, the head coach of Arsenal, reacted to their victory.
Rest, that's quite a positive word to use. We had to make some changes. We had a very, very demanding week at every level, emotionally, physically, what the game demanded. In the tactical and technical aspect of it, we were asked to play 3 days later, one less recovery than them, and still performing the way that we've done it against a team that is super well coached, very well organized, that they are very clear how they want to generate big chances, and they are really good at doing that. So 1-0, we knew it wasn't enough. I don't think we conceded anything apart from the save that they had to make on the corner. But the game was always open, and we needed that extra energy to close it. And maybe when we didn't have it, we had the courage to take the ball under pressure.
That was Mikel Arteta, the head coach of Arsenal. Later tonight, Manchester United will be hosting West Ham United at Old Trafford, hoping to get a victory after initially getting a victory in their previous match day against Crystal Palace, coming back from behind to win by 2-1. Now, De Ligt, who is the defender for Manchester United, has outlined their expectations and targets for the campaign.
I think we're improving compared to last season. That's the most important thing. I think we're not yet at the spot where we want to be, what is normal, because the season is still young and there are a lot of games coming up.
What is normal then?
Normal for us is to, I think for a club as Manchester United, it's always normal to at least try to get into the Champions League. I think a club of United needs to be in the Champions League. So I think that's what normal is. And hopefully we can achieve that this season. And then, that's the first step. And then you see after what is normal. But I think the first step coming from 15 last season is this year at the season we are having now to keep improving and hopefully, getting to the Champions League next year.
Getting into the Champions League next year, that was Manchester United defender De Ligt. Now, Manchester United are currently 9th on the Premier League table, and if they defeat West Ham United, they could move into the top 4 because Chelsea recently lost to Leeds United by 3-1. And so Manchester United will be hoping to get a huge boost from the 21 points that they've earned so far in 13 matches to get into a very good spot and get closer to that Champions League qualification. Now, some news, recent news that has hit us is that Nigeria defender and captain William Trust Ekong has announced his retirement from international football. Now, Trust Ekong participated for Nigeria in the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations as captain, leading them all the way to the final and taking home the Player of the Tournament award after a fantastic performance during the tournament, although Nigeria failed to clinch the AFCON trophy as they lost to Ivory Coast. He also participated for Nigeria at the 2018 FIFA World Cup, but he was also there as Nigeria tried and battled for a place in the World Cup qualification playoffs, continental playoffs, but fell short against the DR Congo in that final qualifier where DR Congo defeated Nigeria on penalties. And William Trust Ekong released a statement on Instagram to talk about his particular retirement from international football, stating that he's honored, grateful, and forever a Super Eagles. Playing for Nigeria has been the greatest privilege of my life. The journey may end here, but my support never will. And so Troost Ekong has announced his international retirement, and because of that will not participate in the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. That brings an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition, and to the end of the 3FM Hot Edition for today. Of course, tomorrow would be Farmers Day. We'll be back with more updates. Until then, have a great evening.